mummy's with the maggots now.
Death has come to your little town, Sheriff.
Well, hi there.
Hello, and welcome to Would You Die, the show where no one would have believed in the early years of the 21st century that our world was being watched by intelligences greater than our own, that as men busied themselves about their various concerns, they observed and studied the way a man with a microscope might scrutinize the creatures that swarm and multiply in a drop of water. With infinite complacency, men went to and fro about the globe, confident of our empire over this world. Yet across the gulf of space, intellects vast and cool and unsympathetic regarded our planet with envious eyes and slowly and surely drew their plans against us. Boom, boom. Boom, 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 boom. I'm Austin Torres.
And I'm Anneliese Petersmark.
What are we talking about today?
Today, for the first day of From Page to Screen Month, we are talking about the 2005 War of the Worlds.
I was about to woo, but I'm going to go brrrr. That's my really bad tripod noise.
Yeah, I got it.
I might just edit one in.
That's good.
We got to play our... Yes, Jeremy?
It's gonna be so funny when you say, I was gonna say woo, but instead I'll say, and then insert the movie lines.
Well, it was going to be funny, and then you talked about it on the podcast.
I'm sorry.
Well, I think it was still funny. It just got explained after.
Yeah.
It's fair.
But we
Otherwise, I think people are gonna be like, wait, what?
Wait, what?
Huh?
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 But we have to play our little game. What quote did you guys think I was going to say?
I thought you were going to say there is not a war any more than there is a war between men and maggots.
That's actually in the book, I think.
That's true. I thought it was in... No, because Morgan Freeman says it.
Oh, Morgan Freeman says... I thought
Yeah.
Tim Robbins says the men and maggots line.
Maybe. I don't remember.
I did say the Morgan Freeman... Like,
You
the
did
entire
say
Morgan
the,
Freeman
like, at the beginning,
opening.
yeah.
I'm not gonna lie to you. For the first time in months, the day that we were originally gonna sit down and watch this movie, I had to go do work stuff. So, unfortunately, I have not seen this movie. I've seen this movie, but
Yeah.
I have not seen this movie since, I want to say I was probably a teenager.
So, you
So
didn't
I
have a-
did not have a quote in
quote in
mind
mind.
this week.
There are two other contenders, but I'm like, are these actual contenders, or are these just, like, random quotes I associated myself... Like, you know those when you see a movie a bunch of times as a kid and just growing up, where you just remember the most random lines?
Yeah.
There's two from this movie I always think about. There's three from this movie I always think about. When Tom Cruise takes his kids to his mom and Tim's house, and they're not there because they're in Boston, and he's like gonna make them sandwiches, and he's dealing the slices of bread. He goes, 2 for Rachel, 2 for Robbie, 2 for me, and 1 for the house. I always think about that.
That is a good line.
And then another one I think about is from the very same scene, because Dakota Fanning's delivery is so fucking good. I'm already laughing thinking about it. She's like, I'm allergic to peanut butter. And he goes, yeah, since when? And she looks him dead in the eye and goes, birth.
Yeah.
And then the other
Yeah.
line I think about is when they're like in the car escaping the city, and they're in like the one working van, and he's like weaving in and out of like stopped cars and walking people, and Robbie's like, "Tell me everything you know," and Tom Cruise is just like, "I'm." They came from, he's just explaining it, and he's like, I think these are from someplace else. Robbie goes, like Europe? No, Robbie, not like Europe. It is so funny to me.
That is funny.
So let's get into it.
Yes. So, as we mentioned, this is Page to Screen Month. We are doing all movies that were book adaptations first.
Mm-hmm.
Phenomenal. So, this is Steven Spielberg's adaptation of War of the Worlds, which is a sci-fi disaster film based on H.G. Wells's classic novel. The movie follows Ray Ferrier, who is played by Tom Cruise, who is a divorced, emotionally distant father, and he finds himself in the middle of an alien invasion while trying to protect his 2 children. As Earth is devastated by mysterious tripods rising from beneath the surface, the film explores the horror of collapse, human resilience, and what survival means when the world ends around you. So what is your personal connection with this movie?
I like when the tripods go brrr. I saw this movie when I was 10 years old.
Really?
My mom took me to see this in theaters 2005, summer of 2005, which was a very important movie. Which was a very important year for me. 1, because I was 10 years old.
Yeah.
2, because War of the Worlds. Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Peter Jackson's King Kong.
Mm-hmm.
The Chronicles of Narnia. I didn't see this movie at the time, but Red Eye.
Right.
It's almost a perfect year for movies.
Mm-hmm.
Batman Begins had to fuck it up.
I don't think you need to speak.
I'm so insulted.
But back to the good stuff. My mom takes me to go see War of the Worlds. And because I love Steven Spielberg. I love Jurassic Park. I love Jaws.
Right.
I'm 10. She's like, he's going to love it.
Mm-hmm.
He's going to handle it well. And she loves telling this story. So I remember loving the movie, but being fucking terrified. And it's a loud and intense movie.
Yes.
And I remember it viscerally.
Mm-hmm.
Drink. But I remember seeing it in theaters so well. But when my mom tells this story, obviously I don't know this stuff because I'm not a fucking mind reader. But she takes me to see it. I'm 10. And she had to convince me to see it because I'm like, what if it's scary? Like, it's Steven Spielberg. You love Steven Spielberg. You love Jaws. You love Jurassic Park.
Mm-hmm.
If anything, it's going to be a more intense E.T. That's not paraphrasing. She actually said that to me. She remembers saying that, and I remember her saying that. Iconic quote by Debbie Torres.
Oh, Debbie.
So we go, and she's watching me watch the movie at parts, but it's like, spoilers for the 2005 War of the Worlds. The movie, like, inciting incident is when the tripods come up from the ground and just start vaporizing everyone. And she's like, okay, that's fucked up, but we're not seeing any bodies. And then it's the scene with, like, all the bodies in the river. It's like, okay, that's bad, but, like, we're not seeing the aliens. And then the aliens pop up, and then, okay, but at least there's no blood. And then they're, like, draining the blood, and blood is
yeah.
the red fern. Yeah, and my mom's like, oh my God.
Yeah.
It just gets worse and worse and worse. But I love that movie. It's one of the movies that is a core memory for me. It's a canon event. Mm-hmm. For me, for the nerds out there. I love this. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. I think it's a life-changing movie for me. It was like, with that, Peter Jackson's King Kong and Star Wars Episode 3, that is like the trifecta for me.
Right.
in 2005, 10 years old, that those three movies helped set my tastes and helped me on the path I'm currently at. Like, made me. So, War of the Worlds is like one of the biggest movies of the 2000s. It was parodied very heavily in Scary Movie 4. Like, it's not like a deep cut movie. Like, people know what this movie is. It made a shit ton of money. I'm assuming most people have seen it.
Yeah.
It's not quite Jurassic Park or Jaws, but it's a pretty famous movie. I feel like I have a really personal connection with it. How about you?
Well, how about Jeremy gives his background first, because mine's pretty boring.
My background with this movie is, so when I was a kid growing up, I would go to my dad's every other weekend. I am a child of divorce, as are many of us who were children in the early 2000s.
And Steven Spielberg.
And as are many of us, and Steven Spielberg. So on the weekends I went to my dad's, it was kind of like a tradition that what he would do often is he would go to the family video down the street, and he would rent a classic and a new release.
That's the way to do it.
And we would find the time over the weekend together to watch a classic and a new release. The new release he picked one fateful day in 2005 was Steven Spielberg's War of the Worlds.
Yep.
We watched it in my basement on one of those like on wheels big screen tube televisions.
Yes.
So
this is a perfect way to watch
it's a great way to watch it. So we watched it on one of those. Similar experience to you. Like, I loved this movie. This was truthfully probably my introduction to Tom Cruise. I don't think I was seeing Mission Impossibles or Top Gun yet.
It might have been for me too.
And it was one of the first like true action horror movies that I had ever seen. But I loved it. It was a great movie. This movie taught me about, I told Anneliese this the other day, this movie taught me about inference, like how to make an inference in a very real way, which is a super personal connection because that's what I do for a living.
It's also so good for From Page to Screen Month.
What? I don't know what that word means.
Inference. So an inference is where, based on contextual clues, you can figure out what's going to happen without it being told to you explicitly.
Like watching movies?
So, yeah. So, like, let me tell you, like, how I learned it, and you'll like, get exactly what I mean. So, there's a scene in this movie, spoilers for the 2005 War of the Worlds. There is a scene in this movie, a moment in this movie, where Tom Cruise takes a knee in front of his young daughter, Dakota Fanning. And at this point in the movie, they are like taking refuge with this man who starts to lose his shit.
Played by Tim Robbins.
Played by Tim Robbins. And Tom Cruise is like, I need you to sing this song and plug your ears.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And he goes, I'm gonna go into this other room, and then I'll be back. It's never said what's about to happen in that room. Now, as a 10-year-old, I'm like confused because I have no idea what's going on. And my dad paused the movie, and he goes, make an inference. And I said, Dad, I'm 10. I don't know what that word means. And then he said, well, this is a scary time, and this man's going crazy and might be a danger to them. What do you think Tom Cruise is going to do in this room, in this, like, closet that they go into behind this door? And then I said, is Tom Cruise going to kill that man? And my dad said, probably. So
that's an inference.
That's an inference, right? So that is literally how I learned what that word meant, and it's literally how that's a thing that I have to teach kids to do now in real life, is like make an inference. And Austin. make an inference. What's about to happen based on the context.
I like how you're telling the story of your dad teaching you this, and you're like, Dad, I'm 10. When you're teaching a grown-ass 30-year-old adult man, like, what inference is.
So it's
I'm
definitely
not self-conscious.
it's definitely that movie has this movie has had a genuine impact on me in that way. But yeah,
Yeah.
that was how I was like I learned what that was because for whatever reason in this movie, Tom Cruise is like so confident that he's gonna win this fight to the death in the closet.
Which is insane, because Tom Cruise...
Because he leaves his daughter out there.
Yeah, and Tom Cruise is like 5'9",
Yeah.
and Tim Robbins is like 6'5".
Yeah. He's like, sing this song, I'll be right back. There's no way it won't be me coming out from this door.
Yeah.
Yeah. But anyway, that's my personal connection. I watched it with my dad, and I learned how to make an inference, and also that Tom Cruise kills people.
Lisa, what is your personal connection with the 2005 War of the Worlds?
So the 2005 War of the Worlds, my first time watching it was literally Monday.
Oh my God.
So had not seen it.
How did you miss this cultural event?
I didn't know it was a cultural event. That being said, very, very, very much like obsessed with the original text as well as the broadcast by Orson Welles in 1938.
Have you seen the 50s one?
Yes.
Okay. Now, I wasn't expecting you to say yes. I like the 50s one. I think the 50s one is good. But there's a reason why we're covering this one and not the 50s one.
Yes. Why?
It's my podcast and we do what I want.
That's fair.
No, it's because it's the 20th anniversary
That makes sense.
of this one.
That makes sense.
And when we decided we wanted, because War of the Worlds was not initially a pick. It was a audible that I suggested.
Yeah.
Because I really wanted to talk about it. One, because I haven't got to talk about it at all in the how many years, how many iterations I've done of Would You Die. So far, I've never got to talk about War of the Worlds in any capacity. But if we're going to talk about War of the Worlds, it was important for me to do this one because it's a movie that's very important to me. And then the 20th anniversary, which I think this movie came out in June or July. It was a summer movie. I think it was June or July, but I don't remember because I was 10.
You were 10.
But I remember seeing it in theaters.
It was released on June 29th.
See? Which is basically July.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I like that 50s one. We'll talk about it a little bit because Steven Spielberg really likes that 50s one, and
Yes.
it's all over this movie.
Yes.
And there's a really cool shout out in Ready Player One.
So let's talk about the historical context for a bit, both
Yeah.
of the movie and like where it came from.
Yeah, because it's wildly important to both.
Yes. So I'm not going to get too in the weeds about like specific themes and everything because that's kind of what the whole monthly theme is, right? Is,
Right.
like, how it is adapted. But basically what you need to know for now is there was a 19th century novel called War of the Worlds that was written by H.G. Wells and inspired modern science fiction, especially like alien invasion narratives. It was kind of one of the first ones. And obviously wasn't like the start of science fiction, but the alien part of science fiction, which is kind of what we think of when we think of science fiction most often,
Right.
Started with this book.
Because it's really, if correct me if I'm wrong, but it's really H.G. Wells, Mary Shelley, and then whoever wrote John Carter. Those are like the pillars of science fiction.
Yeah.
Right? I could be wrong about that. I know for sure Mary Shelley is one of the first as well.
Yeah, so Mary Shelley is known as like the mother of science fiction. And then
And H.G. Wells isn't that far after.
yeah, H.G. Wells is early 20th century, and then John Carter of Mars, written by Edgar Rice Burroughs, is 1940.
Okay, so that one's quite a bit later.
Yeah. So War of the Worlds, the novel, which was 1898, actually. It was pre-20th century.
But after Frankenstein.
But after Frankenstein. Also inspired the 1938 radio drama, which famously incited panic. So if you don't know this story, Orson Welles, not
King.
related to H.G. Wells.
I never made that connection. They literally have the same last name. That's funny.
Not related. Did a radio drama version, like an abridged version that was updated for modern audiences. I mean, obviously 1938, so not now modern audiences, but
Right.
modern audiences. It was put on like a radio broadcast. It started out with just normal like ads and the music in the background, and then they did the whole, we interrupt this broadcast to bring you breaking news. An alien invasion has happened, and they start talking about the tripods and all of these things. And it was so realistic and like visceral that people were like in a frenzy. People were calling in a panic, thinking that something had happened, thinking that this was real. Absolutely insane.
I forgot to say when you said visceral, drink.
Dang. Sorry.
Really quick. So this is something that I've taught the first chapter of this book
Oh, shit.
to sixth graders, and I tell them about the radio broadcast, and we
Mm-hmm.
talk a little bit about it. And this is just more of a side of where our current generation is. So I tell them, I go, at the very, very beginning of this radio broadcast, there was a disclaimer of like, this is all fake. This is radio. We're doing War of the Worlds. And without fail, every time I've taught it, I get the question, why didn't they just rewind? Why didn't they rewind the stream?
That is funny.
Oh, my God.
So notably,
Oh, no.
the
But, like,
radio.
I'm sorry, Lisa, but how can they know?
That's yeah.
That's the thing. Like, we have to teach kids.
I know.
Technology
Yeah.
isn't what it was. Oh, it hasn't always been this fucking awesome.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the radio broadcast notably was on Mercury Theater on the Air
Mhm.
on Halloween in 1938.
Based.
Which was not the most popular program on the air. The most popular program was the Chase and Sanborn Hour on NBC. So what the thought process is a lot of people were listening to the Chase and Sanborn Hour. The Chase and Sanborn Hour went into like a musical interlude or an ad or something, so they switched over to the Mercury Theater, which they listened to on commercial breaks, missed the disclaimer that it was
Right.
science fiction, and genuinely believed that, you know, there was an alien invasion.
I believe people, like, actually died because of this. Like, because of the panic.
Yeah, so it was basically, the extent of it is that historical research suggests that it was significantly less widespread than like was indicated at the time. However, the panic and mass hysteria was absolutely real. I mean, it got to the point where the radio station was getting calls that were like, hey, you need to turn this off. Like, people are freaking out, or you need to like say something or interrupt the broadcast or something. And because they were getting more and more views in real time, they just wouldn't. So, yeah.
I got two things. I like to listen to the radio broadcast on Halloween.
That's a good one.
It's like when I'm at the day job, what am I going to listen to? It's Halloween.
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I just put the Mikey My theme on loop.
Mhm.
But even then, I like to 8 hours a day listening to the Mikey My theme might be a bit much even for me. So I'll sprinkle in a podcast or whatever. I like to listen to the Orson Welles broadcast. How familiar are you guys with the Henry Ford Museum?
Very.
I imagine so, but I don't want to make an assumption. Do you want to explain what that museum is for the listeners who aren't in Michigan?
Sure. So the Henry Ford Museum, if you don't live in Michigan, you don't know, Michigan is known for the automotive industry, specifically in Detroit and in Dearborn, where the Henry Ford Museum is located, and Henry Ford had his factories. And the Henry Ford Museum's full title is the Henry Ford Museum of American Innovation. So it is basically a museum dedicated to not just Henry Ford himself, but inventions and technological progress and also culture that the United States has been through since its inception.
The reason why I bring this up is because one of my favorite exhibits growing up was the one where you can kind of walk through history and the different inventions being made, and you can listen to the War of the Worlds broadcast in a 1930s kind of replicated house. So it's not like you're just looking at the inventions but you're looking at how houses looked back then.
Mm-hmm.
and what the styles were.
Yeah, I completely forgot about that, but you're totally right.
So I always think of that when I think of the broadcast.
That's awesome.
I love War of the Worlds.
Me too.
Have you read the book?
I have, yes. Yeah, I love the book as well. You've read the book, right? But it's been a while.
It's been a while, but I've read the book. Mostly in high school. I've read it, I think, once or twice since. But it's not like... It's a short book, but it's not a quick read.
Yeah.
Because it's written in, what'd you say, 1910?
1898.
1890. Yeah, older.
Yeah.
1898. So it's not the quickest read, but it's a relatively short book. I reference War of the Worlds in my short film Spider, which you can watch on the Would You Die YouTube channel. Go watch it.
Go watch it. So
Did you know that?
I did know that, yeah.
Yeah.
Are you going to give the spoiler for how you reference it, or did you want to leave that up to the audiences to go watch?
That is a good point. I will let the audience decide. Watch my movie, please and thank you.
Watch his movie.
Please and thank you.
Watch his movie. I'm not being polite about it. I'm threatening.
Drink.
I'm tired.
Me
Okay.
too.
So to get into our monthly theme,
Yes.
the way that I thought we could structure this is I'm going to give a quick refresher on like H.G. Wells' novel, some of like how it was published, where it was set, all of that. Then we can talk about like the major updates to the story.
Yeah.
And then I have a couple of questions for you.
Let's go.
So H.G. Wells' novel is published in 1898. And it was first serialized in magazines. We've talked about stories that have done this before. Sweeney Todd did this.
Right. That's right.
This is like a very normal way, especially in England, that stories would be published. It was set in Victorian England and told through an unnamed narrator. So we don't get a main character in this. The Martians arrive in cylinders. They deploy the tripods with heat rays and black smoke. London falls very quickly. The military is useless.
Right.
It's very, very similar to the way that the story unfolds in the beginning of the movie. Everything happens very quickly. It is full takeover almost immediately. The narrator's journey is very solitary, and the story. He is often hiding. It's about survival. It is not about overtaking the aliens. It is about survival. And then it ends with bacteria killing the Martians. Again, very similar to the story. From the moment they set foot on the planet, they were doomed. This is a foreign entity landing on a planet with bacteria that they are not familiar with. So the themes, the main themes of this were British imperialism and flipping that on its head. The conquerors becoming the conquered. At this point in, British history, we had seen them kind of universally be the conquerors. And so H.G. Wells was making a critique on that.
Right.
It was also technological hubris. The Victorian era is also the start of industrialism, which means that, we're watching kind of until our era, like millennials and Gen Z, this is the most technological advancement in a lifetime that we've seen in human history up to this point, until again, like the 80s to now. So this idea that, technology can come back and bite us in the ass, this is a theme that we're seeing in horror now that's coming kind of back around, but very much existed in a lot of stories at the time. And then it also brings in existential horror. For the first time, we're talking about humans not as the center of the universe.
Which is an extremely novel concept.
Yes.
At the turn of the century.
So it's part horror, part sci-fi, and part philosophical survival journal.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I would describe the book. That's kind of our quick refresher on H.G. Wells' novel. Now let's talk about some updates to the story.
It's interesting, before we go right into it, just because I want to bounce off of something you mentioned, the novel 1898 so close to a century mark. Steven Spielberg's adaptation, 2005.
Yeah.
Extremely close to a century mark.
Yes.
A little more than 100 years apart. I just think that's a very interesting parallel.
Yes, definitely. I didn't even think about that. So, our updates. The setting. from Victorian London to working class post 9/11 New Jersey. And the post 9/11 part becomes very, very essential when you start to unpack some of the symbolism happening. It's a big thing because you see some similarities between Victorian London and working class New Jersey. Again, it's that like technological advancement. We're talking about industrialism, which is very like blue collar work, you know?
Right.
And that's kind of what our main character is going through.
I work for a living. That's a quote.
Yes. So speaking of our main character, our protagonist goes from an anonymous intellectual who is kind of seen to be very well spoken and very philosophical to Ray Ferrier, who is a flawed modern working class dad. Very scrappy. Divorced dad. Estranged dad, basically. But very like working class, very scrappy.
I thought you said strange. You said estranged.
Estranged,
and I'm
yes.
like, I know he's played by Tom Cruise, but that's a little harsh.
Yes.
Sorry, I misheard you, and it was really funny.
Yeah. Our perspective, though, is still very grounded. In the novel, H.G. Wells was very purposeful to make it feel like it was a journal. It was somebody's personal story taking place in the greater context of an alien invasion. It wasn't, and then they came, and then they did this, and then this is what happened, and
it
then
wasn't
this
an Independence Day.
Yeah, fell. It was, I had to run away from the tripod. I had to do this. I had to do that. And that's Ray's story, too. He's not focused on what is happening on a global scale. He is focused on getting to his ex-wife's house so that his kids are safe and he can figure out next steps with a bigger group of people.
Right, because when you think of the other great alien invasion movies, Independence Day is the one. That might not be quite as global, but there are like 9 different main characters who each have 3 supporting characters. It is an ensemble of a cast. Yeah. And then they bring them all together, but and even then, not all of them get brought together. Like, there are main characters who never interact in that movie.
Right.
I think it's been a while since I've seen the 50s adaptation, but the 50s adaptation kind of opens it up a little bit, too.
Yes.
There are more perspectives. This follows Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise is in every scene.
Yes.
Except for the Morgan Freeman narrating bookends.
Yeah. Yeah, in the 50s version, like, the narrator, or the main characters are a doctor, an atomic scientist, and then, like, a pastor and a young woman. But an atomic scientist, obviously the person you want to be going through an alien invasion with. This is just what would happen to just the rest of us. We're just some guy.
Right. Ordinary people.
Yeah. The tone stays the same. It's survival horror. It's got emotional realism. The technology, we kept the tripods. We updated the effects. It still ends with the microbes defeating the aliens. It's more visually cinematic, but it is still the same at its core. Yeah. The big Spielbergian touch, which is what I would like to call it, is it adds the family element. Yep. Again, we don't have this nameless, faceless narrator navigating alone. We have this dad who's trying to fight for his family.
And it also this isn't Spielbergian. This is, I think, a post 9/11 American thing. Yeah. There's a little bit of like nationalism, pro-military, hoorah. Yeah, especially absolutely. At the end of the movie.
Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, baby. You know, that's, yes. So what it keeps, just to sum up, the tripods, heat rays, the red weed, it keeps all of that. Yeah. It keeps the theme of human helplessness. There's a big lack of exposition in both the movie and the book. We don't know why the invaders are there. We just know they have been watching for a very long time. They planted the tripods long ago, and they want to conquer this space. And then it kept the ending. We know what happens with the aliens.
And it kept the basement plot line. Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure that's in the book, too.
Yes. What it changes the perspective. The book is very much this like field guide to what it's like to survive the apocalypse. The film is personal.
It's still kind of a field guide, especially in the first half, surviving the apocalypse, driving on.
But I'm going to push back because like the book reads like a scientific thing. I mean,
Yeah.
there's some emotion behind it because the author's clearly in distress, but it's very much coming from this perspective of like, I have to document this if I get to civilization.
It's very much similar to the difference between the World War Z novel and the World War Z movie. The World War Z novel is written specifically like a how to survive a zombie apocalypse by Max Brooks.
Right.
And then World War Z follows Brad Pitt and
Right.
Brad Pitt only.
Right.
I got you now.
Yeah, but yeah, so like we have the emotion behind it. You know, we have his beautiful relationship with his daughter. We have this tragic loss of his son, which obviously we know by the end his son managed to make his way. But we don't know
We'll
that
talk about that
through the whole time. Okay.
You seem a little unprepared by that.
I did. Yeah. So it changes the socio-political lens as well.
Yeah.
Wells is critiquing the British Empire. Spielberg is critiquing this post 9/11 like surveillance, fear, American fragility that's happening. In terms of time, and like we talked about this with Red Eye too. 2005 was a big year for like post 9/11 shit.
Yeah.
And I think people forget that like 4 years is not a long time.
I still have flashbacks from the, working during the lockdown and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I still have like very vivid memories of 2016, which was not a great. I'll just say it was a bad year for American history.
Yes, it was. And so
I remember the fucking clowns.
yeah, me too. But very specifically, the symbolism in this movie is very much points toward 9/11. There is ash falling from the sky through the whole movie, just like post 9/11.
Ray Ferrier is covered in ash, just like people. You see the photos from the attack.
Yeah,
People are
There's
bloodied and covered in ash. Yeah.
missing person walls everywhere, like there were in the immediate wake of 9/11. It is very much an updated story for our time. So here comes my first intellectual question, and I'm just curious to know your thoughts. And Jeremy, you can chime in here too if you feel like it. Does this make, because we're talking about page to screen here, so does this make Spielberg's adaptation less faithful, or is it more meaningful for its time?
I would say it's more meaningful in its time.
Okay.
Especially with the 100-year difference, because I think it's faithful in all the right areas.
Okay. Explain to me what those areas are.
Not quite the first because it's not a first-person narrative film, but the fact you're only following one character and everything from his perspective. There's only arguably 3 scenes that's not from Tom Cruise's perspective. So I would argue it's a first person. Even from the camera and blocking, Tom Cruise is the center of most of these scenes. There are some scenes where they're centered on Dakota Fanning's character, Rachel, but there's only one scene in the entire movie that's from her There's two from her perspective. When she sees the bodies floating down the river, and when Jeremy learned what inference was.
Yeah.
So those are the only scenes.
When Austin learned what inference was.
Those are the only scenes that are not from Tom Cruise's character's perspective.
Yeah, fair.
Which I think is faithful to the book. The plot is largely the same. The tripod comes up, destroys everything with the heat ray, kind of traveling until you get to the basement. You find the red fern, I think the plot's pretty much this. What I remember of the book, there's quotes that just show up. I'm pretty sure, this is barely a war as it is between a war of men and maggots. I'm pretty sure Tim Robbins says that line. And I'm pretty sure that's in the book. So they take quotes. And obviously the Morgan Freeman quotes are from the book. Specifically from the book. Morgan Freeman's basically reading us the book at the beginning and end, which is who better? Who better to do that? What other things are faithful? answering that. The tripods in the 1950s, before this film, I would say the 1950s War of the Worlds is the definitive one.
Yeah.
Now it's the Spielberg one. They changed it to flying, not saucers, but like those iconic spacecraft,
Yeah.
which look fucking cool. I love those spaceships. But they changed it to that because it was a lot harder to do tripods at that time and with their budget. But when you're Steven Spielberg in 2005, you can make tripods work.
Yeah.
So I would say the 2005 adaptation's more faithful than the 50s adaptation.
Okay.
And more faithful than other adaptations that shall not be named.
We don't know that yet.
But it's not the most faithful adaptation, because I know like the BBC did like a like a period piece War of the Worlds. So that would be more. I haven't seen it, so I'm speculating just because it's a period piece. But I think the War of the Worlds that Spielberg did is faithful in the right places. To answer your question.
Cool. Any thoughts? Can I reframe the question?
Yeah.
Do we think that Spielberg this is an adaptation of the book, or is he using it as a skeleton to build something new?
I think it's closer to an adaptation of the book than it is a skeleton. However, it's inherently had to be modernized to such an extent that, like, there are things that are different, like, that have to be different.
Right.
But I do tend to believe that this is closer to an adaptation. I do agree with you to the extent when you said, like, the book was more of, like, how to survive an apocalyptic event.
I want to be very clear. I'm not making a statement one way or
Yeah,
another.
no,
This is
I
just
know.
a conversation.
But I think that, like, I think it's much more of a adaptation of the original plot and the original story. I mean, like, much more so than, like, another page to... I don't think... This isn't one of them, is it? I don't think... But a page to film... Like, I Am Legend is significantly different on film than it was on page.
Right. And there have been multiple adaptations of that.
Right.
Just coincidentally, I recently watched the Vincent Price version
Mm-hmm.
of the I Am Legend story, which that was pretty good. But anyways, the reframed question, I agree with Jeremy. I think this is more of an adaptation than it is a skeleton. I think in modernizing it, they had to modernize the themes, because worldwide audiences of 2005 aren't going to relate to themes of British colonialism of the 1800s. And Steven Spielberg is approaching this material from a post 9/11 American mindset.
Mm-hmm.
But the plot is, I think it's more than a skeleton, because there's still, like you mentioned, like the horrors of survival, of society collapsing on itself. They take the plot, the skeleton of the book, yes, but they take scenes, they take quotes, they take imagery. Like the heat rays are very visceral drink in the book as they are in the movie. I think Steven Spielberg also had the added benefit of being able to draw from that 50s version. Because I had mentioned earlier how much I love the spaceships in the 50s War of the Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
The heads of the tripods look very much like those spaceships.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, he's very influenced by that.
Mm-hmm.
And while I'm just kind of mentioning it, at the very end of the movie, when he makes it to his ex-wife's parents' house, the grandparents that come up, they are the leads of the 50s War of the Worlds.
Yes.
Which is such a cool Easter egg.
Mm-hmm. Very much so.
Because Steven Spielberg's been very vocal. Like, he loved that original War of the Worlds. But
yes.
I think him and his screenwriters, David Koepp, and there's another one, I forget. I only remember David Koepp because, like, he wrote Jurassic Park. I'm going to remember David Koepp.
Mm-hmm.
But I think they had to modernize the movie.
Yeah, that's fair.
Because, like, if you do War of the Worlds verbatim, that's a passion project. Steven Spielberg has to make movies that make money. These make us money budgets. You know what I'm saying? I don't think you're going to make money with a verbatim adaptation. You have to modernize it. And with 100 years different, you kind of want it to be modernized, right?
Right. No, yeah. I mean, again, I'm not saying that we don't. I'm just saying, like, the alternative is we set it in Victorian England.
Right. So I think it's a faithful adaptation, but the liberties are done through the modernization of the themes and the setting.
Mm-hmm.
And then adapting it to film, you need a stronger character than a nominous scientist.
Yeah, fair.
That's why the Halo adaptation didn't work.
Understood.
Another kind of alien invasion story, if you think about it.
I think if you're okay with this,
Mhm.
we're kind of deciding this in real time. So here's a peek behind the curtain, audience members. Unless you have a special edition superlative for this month, I was thinking that could be ours, is like adaptation or inspiration.
Okay, we could do that because I forgot to come up with one. So thank you for doing that.
Mhm.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm cool with that.
Cool.
It's also better that you, the actual teacher, come up with the the superlative for this month, I think.
Neat.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's better than like the obvious one is what was better, the book or the movie, and that feels like
That's
it's
just
been
silly.
done. We've
Like,
all done
to
it.
me, that is such a
Right.
silly question in general because books,
Especially with these two.
well, and like with I literally feel this way about anything because books and movies are very different mediums. They serve
Right.
very different purposes. They have very different emotional impacts. I think it's much more interesting of a conversation to analyze why a filmmaker decided to make changes that they did than
Right.
it is to be like, which one's better?
And this one's interesting because it's not the only adaptation.
Right.
And yes, there's that iconic 50s version,
Mhm.
but there are more adaptations of War of the Worlds. You know, like
Right.
Steven Spielberg had a lot to borrow from, whereas an example that we're not going to I feel comfortable with doing because we already covered this movie, Psycho, the book, the movie came out just a few years later. You know, like Alfred Hitchcock had nothing else. He only had the book. Jaws, which we also covered earlier this year, which Steven Spielberg also did, only had the book. That book came out in 74, that movie came out in 75.
Yep.
So, and it's not like he had other like shark movies to borrow from, whereas when he adapted War of the Worlds, he had multiple versions of War of the Worlds. There were so many alien movies to pull from. He did 2 alien movies with Close Encounters and E.T., but this was a more intense E.T. So,
Fair.
are we ready for more superla?
No, because I'm going to talk about cultural
Oh,
impact
fuck.
first.
I am so sorry.
No, you're good. So just a couple of points of cultural impact, and then yes, we are ready for our superlatives. So again, this is really one of the first post 9/11 blockbusters. It inspired other disaster/horror films to focus on like a micro story inside of a macro scale.
Mhm.
So again, you have this big worldwide event, but you were focusing on one story. So another example of this is like A Quiet Place, right?
Yeah. Which is also an alien.
Exactly.
Mhm.
Where it kind of brings us into what it's like living in this world and surviving in this world.
I would say this, to kind of piggyback off your point, I think the Will Smith I Am Legend gets made because of this movie.
Yes. Absolutely. I think Dakota Fanning becoming a definitive child actor is solidified by this movie.
Yes.
She's in a ton of stuff and now is in a ton of stuff as an adult. And then finally, it's funny because you keep mentioning it, but the tripod sound design.
Yeah.
It's iconic. It becomes imitated in games, trailers, everything, etc. Like it is iconic.
It might be its most important contribution to pop culture.
Yeah.
And also, I mentioned it earlier, but we have to mention it again. Big base for Scary Movie 4 is War of the Worlds. They also parodied Saw a lot in Scary Movie 4. You haven't seen Scary Movie 4, have you?
I've seen Scary Movie before.
Oh, okay. You're just kind of looking at me.
No, I'm nodding. I'm sorry. This is an audio format. That's my bad. Yes, absolutely.
Okay. But like so that, and then just one more thing while we're talking about cultural impact. I guess this is less cultural, more Steven Spielberg, but we're talking about post 9/11 movies.
Mm-hmm.
This is not Steven's. War of the Worlds is not the only 2005 Steven Spielberg 9/11 movie.
Yes.
Because Steven Spielberg also did Munich.
Right.
This very same year. And we have to talk about Munich a little bit because 9/11 affected Americans on a deeply profound level. But like Steven Spielberg was so moved by it. He had to make 2 movies.
Yeah.
He made 2 movies about it.
Mm-hmm.
And I think him doing Munich in the same year that he did War of the Worlds, I think that's a big reason why he decides to save Robbie at the end.
Yeah.
I think that was like a last second audible because that's what it feels like while watching the movie.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's the right choice for the movie, but I think it was the right choice for Steven Spielberg's mental health.
Fair.
Because he did not pull his punches for Munich, and he really shouldn't have. I'm okay with him pulling the punch for the science fiction blockbuster. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I don't think it's the right choice for the movie, but that being said, on a grander scale, better to pull your punch with War of the Worlds than with Munich.
Yeah.
Because that's a movie that's like, you're really saying what you want to say with that movie. War of the Worlds, I think, it's more accessible. It's more popcorn friendly.
That's fair. Yeah.
So.
Are you ready for our superlatives? Who would you save, Austin?
Oh, geez, there's a lot of people that die in this movie. Not Robbie. He gets saved.
Yeah.
So his buddies, that's like arguing, like, because no one knows what's happening in this movie.
Mm-hmm.
But like right before the intersection scene, where it's like he briefly sees him, it's like, oh, there's trouble. I knew it'd be the 2 of you, and they're all laughing, and they're like, I heard that it's like a solar flares. It's like, yeah, but solar flares don't turn off your cell phones, dude. I see what you're saying, but when you say it sounds stupid. Like those 2, I'd save those 2 because I assume they died.
That's fair.
The thing with this movie is, unless you see them at the end, you assume they died. Who would you save?
I would save the mechanic.
Oh, the one where
that
it's
dude
like,
is just trying to do his job, and this man is trying to steal a car that he's working on. And he's like, please stop stealing my car, and then he gets nuked.
In fairness, though, Tom Cruise is like, get in this car or you're gonna die.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise tried to save him.
I hear you, and I get it. I'm just saying if I could save it.
You would have tried harder.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
What is your favorite scare?
All right, there's a lot of great things to talk about with this movie. I'm going to give 2 answers. One, like, specific moment is during the scene where they're driving through the crowd of people and they're trying to break into his car. And the moment is when the one guy is so desperate to get in, he's using his bare hands to break open the windshield, and you can see his blood just kind of going all over the glass. And like I can feel it in my hands when I see that when I watch that scene. I'm like, it's
That's fair.
Drink visceral.
Oh, visceral.
But my favorite overall scene is the ferry scene.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good one.
It is perfect action horror filmmaking. Just it gets worse and not. And this is a
Yes.
compliment. The situation gets worse and worse and worse as it goes on. But the intersection scene also. I gave you 3, but the intersection scene that affected me when I was 10 years old. So, but those are my favorite. I'm going to stop there. I can keep going. Those are my favorite moments of this movie. How about you?
My favorite scare is a quieter scene, but it is the scene where the eye tentacle is searching for them.
It is so good.
Oh, it feels like it's really interesting because that scene feels very like alien to me.
Yeah.
I mean, it's funny because it's an alien movie. I get it, but like it feels very much like Sigourney Weaver, heavy
Right.
breathing, trying to cool her body temperature down while the alien is looking for her.
That scene always reminded me of the raptors in the kitchen,
That's real,
which
too.
is also
Yeah.
Spielberg.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Spielberg. He knows how to do a scary looking for you scene.
Mm-hmm. In a confined space with obstacles.
Yes.
Yes. And I love the moment where like it looks over the mirror and it's so slow and
Yep.
calm when it's doing it. And just kind of favorite moments. I just want to say one more. I'm sorry, I lied. It's just such a powerful moment. When they're after they lose their car and they're just kind of trekking, they get stopped at a train crossing and just a train on fire passes through. There's no explanation, but it's just kind of what I think this movie does really, really well. Everything's from the Tom Cruise character's point of view, but there's a larger event happening. You can feel it in every frame, and just like little things. It's like a train on fire speeding through.
Right.
That was a story that happened. The plane that crashed earlier, that was a story. Like, yeah, even Tim Robbins being cuckoo for coconuts, for cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs in the basement. Like, he feels like the main character of his story. I think that's something this movie does very well.
Mm-hmm.
What's the next?
What about your Tony Todd Award for movie MVP?
I'm gonna have to look him up.
Okay.
Do you want to go while I look him up?
Sure.
Because I know exactly who I want to say, but I want to make sure I say the right name.
Mine is just the sound design team.
Okay, we could just say the same fucking thing. I'll look up because I was gonna go with the sound, but I wanted to like specifically credit.
Find the name. That's fair.
Yeah, that is really funny.
Yeah, that was for sure mine.
Yeah, there's a lot of people on the sound team, but let's just say the sound team. I think they deserved an Oscar.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think, again, it's just one of those things where this movie, like, people don't even realize where that specific, like, mecha sound comes from.
Right. And just, like, like, the plane crash scene, the ferry scene, obviously the tripod noise. Even the sounds of the aliens themselves when they're in the basement and they're just breathing and like the grunts and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So this was back in the day when there were 2 sound awards, and in 2006 for the 2005 Oscars. Okay, so I said War of the Worlds should have won.
Okay.
War of the Worlds was nominated for both, and it lost to King Kong for both. And I'm okay with King Kong winning.
That's fair.
Because that is a very fair movie, also with iconic sounds, and yeah. So I retract a little bit, and War of the Worlds was nominated. We'll take it.
Mm-hmm.
But I would have been mad if War of the Worlds wasn't nominated.
Yeah.
So
Fair. All right. Is the score better than Jaws?
I really... So no, but I think this is John Williams' most underappreciated score.
I think that's probably true. It's definitely his darkest and like most minimalist score, which is really interesting because like the ambient dread thing, that's not Williams.
Right. And you think of Williams, you think of iconic melodies. And
yeah.
You can't hum a single thing from this score.
No, and you don't need to.
But it's funny that Jaws is like the baseline, because I think this is the most Stravinsky score that Williams has done since Jaws.
Yeah.
The rite of spring be writing of springing in this movie.
That's real.
Especially in the intersection scene.
Mm-hmm.
Let's go. But it's a very brutal score. What my favorite thing about this score is it's very rhythmic, very atonal, no melodies. But every once in a while, there's like a handful of moments where he just goes 1950s big brass chords.
Yeah.
In like low brass dominant. Like boom, 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 boom. Like just shit like that. It's so fun. I love it so much. But it's not better than Jaws, but I love this score.
It's a good one. I'll take it.
Is this one of your more appreciated John Williams scores?
I think so. Yeah, like I said, I think it's underrated, and I think it's very much unique and kind of shows his skill in a way. Not that other scores don't, because obviously they do, but you know what I mean? His versatility.
Yeah. Like you said earlier, you don't hear this from him.
No.
And I think the ferry scene is some of his best writing.
That's fair. Yeah. All right, a fine addition to your collection. Do you own it? Would you own it? You own it.
I have this on DVD, Blu-ray, and 4K.
Nice.
And I have 2 copies of the book. And I have the 1950s on a Criterion Collection Blu-ray.
Wow, a fancy Blu-ray.
Mm-hmm. I love War of the Worlds.
Yeah.
If they made like a Funko Pop of the tripod, I would have it.
Nice.
So they should have made toys for this movie. I would kill for
I'm like surprised there's not a Funko Pop tripod.
Right? I would kill for like a Lego tripod. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah. That would be so good.
I love the tripods. I think the tripods are like my low-key favorite monsters. Like the monsters I love that I don't talk about.
Yeah, they're good.
They're scary too.
Yeah, definitely.
And they can swim. Fuck that.
They're a lot.
They're a lot. How about you? Is this a fine addition to your collection?
I would love to own this. I really like this one. Here's the thing. Here's my deep dark confession. I'm not a big Tom Cruise gal, and it's not because I don't think he's a good actor.
Yeah, no,
I think
I
it's
get
just
it.
like in a lot of movies that I'm not an action girl.
Mhm.
So like I'm not going out of my way to watch a lot of his movies. I mean, that's
Right.
just but I think he plays such a really wonderful grounded character in this, and I appreciate him.
What's interesting is this is our second Tom Cruise movie.
It is. That is true. Friend of the pod. And the
Right.
first one is also not one that I would normally associate with Tom Cruise.
Right. Like, I feel like the famous Tom Cruise movies are like Top Gun, the Mission Impossible movies.
I want to see
And-
if Jeremy can guess what movie we're talking about right now.
Oh, I know what movie we're talking about right now.
What movie is it?
It's the Interview with the Vampire.
Okay, you
Yeah.
did know. Okay, I wasn't sure.
Very nice.
Oh.
Very nice. So
He's
I
in
have to
that.
do this real quick. I'm sorry, I just have to. Top 3 Tom Cruise movies.
Okay, I mean...
As confess, not a Tom Cruise girl.
This feels like a cop-out, but number 3 is going to be War of the Worlds.
Let's go! Brum, 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 brum.
Number 2 is going to be Top Gun.
Okay.
And number 1 is Interview.
I mean, that's a... Tom Cruise is in a lot of bangers.
Yeah, no, he is. I'm sure there are more that I am not thinking of.
But I'm putting you on the spot.
But like without looking it up,
yeah.
those are probably my top 3.
Jeremy, do you want to give a top 3? As he looks it up.
Well, I had there's a specific movie that I do really like that he's in, and I could not think of the title. So for me, and this is, I want to be clear, not in order of my favorite movies, because like objectively I can acknowledge that Top Gun is like the movie he will, other than maybe the Mission Impossible movies, like is the movie most synonymous with him. I hate that movie. So for me, it'd be at 3, Mission Impossible, like the first one.
I like the first one a lot.
Second, the movie Vanilla Sky.
Okay, that's a good movie.
And then first would be this, War of the Worlds.
Based.
I told her like immediately. I was like, I want to watch this one with you because I love this movie,
I'm
and
sorry,
it just didn't work out.
You just didn't. You left.
I had to go do my job.
Based. This movie rules.
I'm gonna give 2 honorable mentions now that I've looked it up. A Few Good Men.
Okay.
Is a great
We'll mention
movie.
it again.
What?
We'll mention it again.
Okay.
I haven't said my top 3 yet.
Okay, and then Far and Away is a really underrated one, I think.
Is that Spielberg?
Yes. Uh-huh.
I always forget about that movie.
Yeah, it's
'cause I'm
him
always
and Nicole Kidman.
I'm always like the 2 Tom Cruise movies with Spielberg, and I'm like, wait a second, there's 3.
And it's kind of like Titanic, but the boat doesn't sink.
One more quick honorable mention: Valkyrie.
I don't think I've seen Valkyrie.
I support people who try to kill Hitler.
Fair.
Yeah, good one. What are your top 3?
My honorable mention is going to be Tropic Thunder.
Fair.
Because he's so funny in
Fair.
that movie. I don't even like that movie. I love Tom... Well, no. I think the movie's fine. You know what I mean?
But, like, yeah.
It's good. It's hard to rewatch certain comedies, and that one's like, I watched it. I think he's hilarious in that movie. So that's my honorable mention. 2 and 3 are tied. One of them I like more than the other. And one of them's a much better movie than the other.
Okay.
I'll let you decide which is which.
Okay.
War of the Worlds,
Okay.
A Few Good Men.
Okay, so you like War of the Worlds better.
Yeah.
But A Few Good Men is objectively a better movie.
A
Have you
Few
ever
Good
seen that
Men
movie,
is
Jeremy?
amazing.
I have not seen the
We
movie.
should watch that.
It is a
It's phenomenal.
fantastic film. Yeah.
Another movie I completely forgot Tom Cruise is in is The Outsiders, a very young Tom
That's
Cruise.
such a good movie.
Yeah. We're not going to let you name your top 1, apparently.
Sorry,
I
continue.
guess not.
Continue.
It's not The Outsiders.
That would be
unfortunately.
wild if he was just like my
Right.
favorite Tom. The movie Tom Cruise is known for, The Outsiders, where he plays a side character.
My number one's Minority Report.
Oh. Okay.
This is fair.
I love Minority Report. My heart loves War of the Worlds just a little more because it's, I saw that in theaters and it was, right place, right time for me. Minority Report's a better movie. And I think it's low-key might be one of Tom Cruise's best performances.
Fair.
Few Good Men is like high-key one of his best, people know.
Yeah.
And, we didn't even mention Jerry Maguire or Risky Business.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I love Minority Report. So, more superlatives.
Letterboxd review. While you're getting yours out, I will do mine. Jeremy, you don't have one this week, do you?
I do not, because I cannot, unfortunately, write a Letterboxd review for a movie that I've last seen at the age of 15.
That's fair. Mine is actually serious this time. It says, Spielberg does apocalypse horror better than most directors do horror, period. A 9/11 allegory with aliens. Bonus points for the sound design alone. Those tripods will haunt your dreams. 4 stars. Why are you laughing?
Because you have this amazing review. Oh.
Is yours just bah?
So,
Yeah.
mine
Yeah.
is... Wait, what was your star rating again?
4.
4 and a heart?
I guess I could be persuaded to put a heart.
Okay. I could deal with that. My latest review is The tripods. Me. Happy face. And honestly, yeah. Another review I did on December 18th, 2023, that tripod horn is peak sound design. This film helped set me on the course for who I am today. For better or worse.
Fair.
And then, yeah. And then in April of 2021, I said, the ferry scene is such a well-directed action horror set piece. Holy moly. I apparently haven't changed my opinions in 5 years. I said that same exact thing earlier in this recording. I had said the film kind of loses its way for me after that point, but the first half is really fantastic. Might be my favorite film of the 2000s. And I still agree. I think the second half is a lot weaker than the first half.
Yeah.
But the first half is perfect. Like, I gave it a 5 stars. It's not an objective 5 stars.
That's fair.
But I love that movie so much. And it might be my favorite movie of the 2000s. Its contender is School of Rock.
Okay.
Moving on.
No, I'll take it. I was sitting with it, but I will take it.
But they're so drastically different movies.
Yeah, it's hard to compare the two.
Right.
So, next category is Supernatural alumni. We have one notable one.
Ooh.
He's not notable in War of the Worlds, unfortunately. He plays like one of the soldiers.
Oh.
Who has like 1 or 2 lines, but he is big in Supernatural. He's one of the major antagonists. His name is Travis Aaron Wade, and he plays Cole Trenton in Supernatural, who is like Dean's longtime enemy.
That quick Spielberg aside, Steven Spielberg in his movies, you will find like the best actors early in their careers doing nothing roles.
Yeah.
And I don't mean like Tom Hiddleston in War Horse before he got Loki. I mean like Carl Weathers plays a security guard in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
Yeah.
Carl Weathers went on to become Carl Weathers.
Carl Weathers. Yeah, no, absolutely.
There's more, but I mean like I just think that's so funny.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or like same movie, Lance Henriksen, I don't think says a word in Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
But he's
fucking Lance Henriksen, and he's in a lot of great movies after that.
Yeah.
So that's just an interesting thing. You never know who's gonna break big, but if you can get on a Spielberg set, hell yeah.
Yep. All right, Austin, you ready?
Yes.
Would you die?
Oh yeah. Very early too.
Yeah, no, I would be one of the idiots filming the first alien strike, and I would
We'd both be jackasses with the camera.
I would be getting vaporized so quick.
He gets me mid-selfie.
Real.
Hashtag reliving my favorite childhood movies. More like re-dying.
Boo.
Bow.
Austin, where can the people find you?
You can find me at Austin M. Torres at all the socials, but really just Instagram and Letterboxd. You can find the Would You Die podcast on the socials at Would You Die Show, Facebook, Insta. Follow us on YouTube, where you can listen to the pod, as well as wherever you're listening to it right now. Go to that YouTube channel, subscribe, because we got this show, Spooky Spotlight, hosted by Deanna Hope. There may be another show in the works. Who knows? Ooh, ooh, ooh. My short films are on there. Blood Witch, Spider, which has a War of the Worlds reference, and Ice Cream, which does not have a War of the Worlds reference. Subscribe to that channel. You can follow. You can also sign up for our Patreon, $3 a month. If you're a fan of this episode, you might like the bonus episode we're doing for September. We're doing it.
We are doing it.
I'm not excited, though.
It's gonna be so fun.
The things I do for money. But,
That's real.
yeah. Where can the people find you?
They can find me at Whimsawillow on Instagram and Letterboxd mostly. Technically Twitter, but mostly Instagram. What about you, Jeremy?
You can find me pretty much everywhere at Angrily Funny.
All right. Our production is done by Jeremy Lippitt. The music you hear at the beginning and end of every episode is done by Josie Palmer. Our graphics on our social medias are done by Alec Gibson from Crosshook Creative. Austin, what's our hint for next week?
The book was written by a Spartan alumni who's also a Would You Die alumni. So listen to the Spartans and Horror episode from the previous version of the show, and you'll get it pretty quickly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go green.
Go white.
I'm Austin Torres.
I'm Anneliese Petersmark.
Try not to die.